Good to have you with us here at easyodds.com as we look forward to the Cheltenham Festival, which is next week as we stand at the moment. He's Jake Johns, I'm Paul Jacobs, and we're going to run through now the novices, both over hurdles and over fences. There are separate video casts, of course, for the handicaps, which I think are really interesting this year, and also for the championship races as well. Let's start right at the beginning. The big roar on the Tuesday, first race, Supreme Novices Hurdle. All anybody can think about is Min. My recent trip to Ireland has told me some very interesting things about this horse, but on bare form and on potential, he's such an exciting animal. The way he travels, but the way he jumps his hurdles is fantastic, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, yeah. He's got some serious talent jumping over hurdles. It's unbelievable. His technique over hurdles is ridiculous. Obviously, the form is stacking up very well as well behind him. A lot of graded winners coming out of his wins. Seconds and thirds and stuff. It's just stacking up in more ways than one. So yeah, he seems rock solid to me. He's drifting at the moment, isn't he? So last night he drifted to around 5-2.
Yeah, he's drifting, but he's not drifting because of the Henderson pair. He's drifting because of York Hill, isn't he?
York Hill.
And I thought quite amazing.
I thought that York Hill was the one they preferred Bells Hill to York Hill. I thought he was.
Well, they do, yeah.
So I don't understand that really, but they didn't. I mean, I went to the Cheltenham evening with Rich Ritchie, and he wasn't massively keen on Min, but he did say he's not. He said he's not as good as Ivan, but he's as good as Vortor.
Which could be good enough.
Which probably should be good enough. Vortor is good. It's obviously it was unbelievable performance in this Supreme when he won it. So he seemed rock solid for me. So 5-2 is quite big, I think, to be honest. I thought he was going to. I thought maybe on the day you would go out to 5-2, but it looks like you might go even further.
Well, you'll get a special offer on the day. I guarantee one of the bookmakers on easyodds.com will offer 10 to 1 min for new accounts.
Oh yeah,
absolutely,
something crazy.
Absolutely.
I think BetBright are doing 50 to 1 anyone. If any horse wins 50 to 1, it's like madness. But and one that I like at a big price that I got earlier in the year at 25 to 1 without Min is Silver Concord. He's a lot shorter than that. I think he's 16 to 1 to win just overall. He's going to be much better for the good ground. Don't well, likes him a lot. You can put a line for his last run on heavy. He's got good Cheltenham form. He won the champion bumper. He's a bit old for the Supreme, but I think he'll definitely run well. And I know that Well likes him a lot, and 16 to 1 is still quite big. So yeah, that's a good price.
Patrick Mullins was telling me in the recent visit that his dad was absolutely mortified when Bells Hill didn't win last time out, got stuck in the mud. And apparently before that, and I knew this a long time, I figured this out a long time ago without speaking to him. He said to me, had he won that day, they were going to run him in the Supreme against Min. Right, because he's got so much speed at home. But now Willie Mullins doesn't know what he's going to do with Bells Hill. He might not even run him at all.
Oh, really?
Might not even run in the Neptune at all.
Okay.
But I think York Hill's really interesting. I think the price has gone now. I can't back him out. The price has gone. He's a horse that travels. We know they're going to go unbelievably quick pace in the Supreme. I can just see him coming down the hill and then turning for him and picking them off one by one by one. Whether he's got the speed to beat Min, I don't know.
The form of that,
I don't know.
Tolworth Sandown is brilliant as well.
007 is very highly regarded, isn't it?
Betfair Hurdle winner.
Yeah. It doesn't come better than that, does
World
it?
Shadow, I think he won since as well.
He has won since.
So that's 4. I think it was only 6 runners, so 4 of the ones behind. So that form is incredibly much better than it seemed at first glance when you first watched it. I agree with you. I think York Hill is a good bet here, but he's absolutely lost all value at 4 to 1.
But the interesting thing about Min is, Danny Mullins was telling me he's a very nervous horse at home, and this will be the first time he's gone to a really big meeting. The crowd, he's going to have to parade, of course the packed paddock as well. I'm just wondering. I think if you're going to back on the day, watch Min in the parade and see what happens to him. Does he sweat up? Is he worried? Is he on his toes? Is he using up excess energy? He could almost. I mean, we both like the horse, obviously.
Yeah.
He could almost sort of be like a lay, couldn't he?
Yeah.
In a way.
I mean, if you're doing a place spot, which is a very, very good idea at Cheltenham, because it's going to be bigger than any other meeting. So if you want to do a place spot, that's the best time to do it. You could do one without Min, because if he goes out in the first race, you're going to be absolutely laughing if you win.
It sets it up for you. So we're both agreed. We like Min as a horse, but there are slight temperamental problems possibly. We've missed the price on York Hill, but we think he's a player. Of the 2 Henderson runners, which one do you prefer?
I prefer Altior just because of no one really seems to care about Bouvet. I think Altior, everyone's been going mental about Altior. Paul Keeley said it was his nap of the entire festival.
Did he really?
Yeah. He's been very impressive. The only thing that would worry me about him is his worst run to date was at Cheltenham, again against Maputo, retired afterwards through injury, and he only just beat him. So that's not great form around Cheltenham when it's only a 10th round here. And obviously Henderson hasn't won this race for ages, so that doesn't really make a difference. But I'm not going to be backing either of the Henderson horses anyway. But out of the two, it'd probably be Altior.
Yeah, he looks more the professional, even though he hit a flat spot at Kempton. Once the jockey went for him and got to the bottom, my word, did he pick up. I thought that was hugely impressive. We're going to run through these novice hurdles and chases quite quickly because there are so many of them. Let's talk about the Arkle very, very quickly. Are you Duvan and that's forget about the rest?
Well, yeah,
you can sort of watch and admire this.
It's going to be a very short, small field. Duvan's going to win.
Rami Surge is not going for this now, is he?
No, Rami Surge isn't going for it. I don't know what they're doing with sizing John. I heard that they are going to the Arkle. I don't know what the plan is now. If they do go, he'll be a great bet with Al. He's 2-1 at the moment with Norman and no bet funds. So. That's massive. I think he's definitely he's a brilliant horse. He would have won 6 of his last 7 if Duran wasn't in the race. The only one that he wouldn't have won is his 3rd place in the Supreme, which Duvan won as well, so he would have placed 2nd. He is a better chaser than he is a hurdler because all of the head horses is. He didn't show his true running last time. If it's a really, really small field, he's going to be minuscule amounts betting without favourites. So 2-1 seems alright at the moment.
It is going to be a small field, and that'll suit Duvan. I just thought if a horse got upsides him and jumps upsides him and maybe just put him off or distracted him, I thought, because I think was it Nace, I can't remember which race course it was, where he belted a couple when the horse was just like on his flanks. I thought that was a little bit of a worry for me for Duvan, but I think with the small field, I think he'll be okay.
He jumped so well in his last round.
And Ruby can put him wherever he wants to. So we're going to gloss over the Arkle. I don't think it's worth the airtime. What is the National Hunt Chase for 4 miles. I know Jake's got a horse in here. I've got a horse out back to Anti-Post. I think it's one of the most fascinating races of day one. 4 miles. Novices, amateur riders. It's an interesting concoction, isn't it?
God, yeah. But obviously, Willie Mullins he's got the best amateur riders in the business, so I think he's gonna have all play the cards here. There's a few too short. I haven't had a massive look at this, to be honest. I haven't really properly looked through the field and examined it. But one that jumped out at me was Pont Alexander. Obviously, he was going to potential superstar before he got injured. I think Willie Mullins was saying that he was a kind of Duvan level of good. When he first came out over hurdles, he was saying that he was going to be amazing. He got injured. He was brilliant on his first run over Chasers in his first time out after 2 years out. And then he went up to 3 miles, and I think he was actually quite unlucky against Roy de Frank. He pecked on landing after the second last. He then got back beside Roy de Frank. And then Brian Cooper and Roy de Frank impeded him all the way to the line. He had nowhere to go. There was absolutely no way that Brig Walsh was going to get past him on the inside. But he was staying on all the time. I actually think he'll improve for the step up to 4 miles. Which you can't say about a lot of these, and which is strange. It's hard to tell on breeding as well, but I think he'll stay 4 miles, which is good, and he's obviously got the class, and this is obviously an amazing race. So I think he's quite a good price. I think you can still get him about 10-1 or something. But yeah, I think he's quite a good price. He disappointed that he's only run at Cheltenham behind the new one, but I think he has the potential definitely to be good over this 4 miles, and he has the class as well. But saying that, I haven't had a proper look at the race. I haven't properly looked through all the form. I might change my mind, but he's the one that jumps out to me.
I think Manella Rocco, who was second to Vito the Rock at Ascot, I thought he was flattered by that run in a race where they raced from a long way out. And even though John Joe's got a really good record in the race, I've cast him aside. I heard from the head lad at Willie Miller, and I'm glad about this.
Yeah.
That they think a lot of people in the yard, and they all split, think that Roy de Frank is the best novice chaser in the yard.
What?
And that's the reason why crazy. Willie is thinking of dropping him back for the RSA rather than running him here, and they're not going to decide until next week. So if he runs in the RSA, you know why. Even though he's likely to take on No More Heroes and more of that as well, it could develop into a classic RSA. I think if he runs here, I think he's an absolute certainty. I really do. I think he's absolutely laid down. And really interesting how Jake saw that race with Pont Alexandra. I saw it a different way. I thought those last 2 jumps that Roi de France put in, I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
But you never know, Pont Alexandra could come back and maybe shorten the gap over an extra mile.
Yeah.
But I think these are 2 very good stayers. The other one we need to mention is Native River, who looked an out-and-out stayer when he won at Newbury. Disappointed at Wetherby last time out, but he doesn't want that ground.
No, he definitely wants good ground.
He needs to have good ground. So it's a fascinating national hunt chase. We're going to oppose each other, but there's nothing wrong with that. You make up your mind. Pont Alexandra over here, Roi de France here.
I'm in the yard. You have the advantage.
No. But don't see. For me, if a trainer or an owner or a jockey or someone in the yard tells you something, I almost take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Because I'd already made up my mind beforehand.
Okay.
And it's almost like, well, yeah, but I knew this before you told me, and you worked for the yard. It was just a view that I had in any case. I want him to run in the RSA because I think he's such a huge price. He's still 25 to 1.
I backed him for the RSA.
Yeah, I've backed him each way. I think he can give the top 2 in the betting a real big run for the money. Let's very quickly touch on the Neptune novices hurdle. I know you, as everybody was taken mightily aback by that run of Yanworth. Is he the odds-on shot he should be? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I think his price is about right. I think he was unbelievably impressive. His form is stacking up so well in every single race this year that he's run. The second, I think in almost every run he's had this year, the second has won next time out quite easily, which is unbelievable. And then when he stepped up to, people didn't think he was, a lot of shrewd tipsters and punters didn't think he was going to be able to stay in that ground when he stepped up to the Neptune trip. But he was so impressive, wasn't he? He didn't jump amazingly. Another thing I would say is that ground at Cheltenham was very, very similar to the ground that he won at Ascot, which is kind of unique, sticky, with a lot of rain and then drying out ground. So at Ascot, the day that he won, he was unbelievably. I was there as well, actually, and he was unbelievably impressive that day as well.
But he had a right to win in that fashion at Ascot.
Yeah.
He didn't on form have a right to win.
No, yeah.
He did it at Cheltenham. Exactly. It was almost like he took it to a new level.
He was unbelievable. It was probably that and Thistlecrack. That was the day with their top 2 performances of the day for sure.
Are you worried about the stable form?
Yes, I am worried about stable form. I worry about stable form a lot. I think it's quite important. It's definitely very important, like you were saying about the Tizard thing. They change things. Yeah. Minuscule things can make a massive difference. And I am worried about the stable form. But he is definitely the class horse in the race. One that I picked out, another massive price that you're probably going to laugh at me at, and everyone probably will laugh at me at, is Gordon Elliott's Tycoon Prince. Apparently he's had a wind operation since his last run. He's definitely going to be better on good ground, and I think and I know they like him a lot in the yard as well, and he was very impressive as a novice. He's been impressive last year, so 40 to 1 looks pretty big at the moment. He might not even run, to be honest, but it stood out to me.
And the other interesting one is a Trois Phil, who is trained by Willie Mullins, who I think he's got bundles of talent, but I'm worried he's a bit of a character, he's a bit of a thinker, and he's twice tried to pull himself up when running past where the stables are at a race course, but he's got loads of them. I'm just thinking this has come a bit too soon for him, but he's a horse.
He hasn't had many runs, has he?
Future. No, he's not.
I like him a lot as well.
He's a classy horse. Yeah. He's a really, really classy individual. Should we talk about the RSA chase? Because I think this is developing into one of the races of the festival. No More Heroes, of course, was unlucky in last year's Albert Bar. I mean, he's just jumped for fun, but so is John Joe's horses. Yeah. I mean, these are 2 outstanding novices, aren't they?
They are 2 unbelievably good novices. No More Heroes jumping is crazy. It's so good. His technique is amazing. But I think more of that is going to take this, to be honest. I was worried when they said they were going to put him in the JLT. Or when I say worried, I was worried because I backed him for the RSA, and I think he'd win the JLT as well. But I think he'll take this. I think he's got unbelievable form. He's been brilliant. He's got unbelievable course form, first off. He's got brilliant festival form. Obviously, he beat Andy Power on merit when giving her the mare's allowance. That's just incredible form. I think he's maybe just a little bit more classy than these. He's got so much class, so much speed.
And he only just does enough, doesn't he? He doesn't almost like overexert himself, like he knows where the winning line is.
The only thing I'll be worried about is the John Joe Neal form. Obviously, everyone says that he's improves for the festival quite a lot. He usually has a few winners at the festival, but he's been worse than usual this year, and he's not in great form at the moment either. He hasn't had a winner in quite a while, so that's what I'll be taking that in mind. But I still think he'll probably win. But yeah, No More Heroes is a great jumper. I don't know how do you think he'll go on spring ground?
I don't think the ground will be a problem for
Okay.
him. I essentially at the beginning of the season thought he wouldn't be quick enough over 3 miles. I think if it turns out to be good ground, which is unlikely, it slightly goes against him, but not a lot. I mean, if Wider Frank runs in the RSL, I'm going to be backing up my 25-1 I took earlier in the week, and I'll be having another huge each way bet, because I can't see him being out the frame, and I think he's hugely underestimated by the general public and by pundits alike as well. But I'm in your camp on here. I prefer more of that to No More Heroes.
Oh, okay, that's good
For sure.
Where do you think? Did you hear anything about where they're sending Black Hercules?
Black Hercules are going to go JLT,
Okay.
apparently. If they're going to go anywhere with him, it'll be JLT, otherwise
That's
they'll save
interesting.
him for Adrian Punchestown.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was an out-and-out stayer last season,
Yeah.
but
I thought, well, everyone
Yeah.
thought he was going for 4 miler, didn't they?
Yeah.
But now, if they're going straight back down. I don't think Black Lion's classy enough overall to be definitely to be.
although his form is solid.
His form is solid at Cheltenham. He's got good form at Cheltenham, but it's just under top class, I'd say, especially with No More Heroes and more of that in the race, and maybe Black Hercules. Yeah, so I don't think he might hit the frame, maybe a 3rd place or something, but I can't see him winning.
What an interesting race it is, turning out to be. It could be a vintage RSA. Let's talk about the JLT novices chasing 2 outstanding jumpers of fences. Bristol Demai, the more I've seen him this season, the more I've been impressed.
Really?
And Outlander, I think, is massively underrated as well. He just keeps getting the job done, and was totally inconvenienced by that dictated run in the Neptune last year, where he needed more of a go. These are 2 cracking novices again.
I like Outlander a lot. I know that you tipped him last year after the festival for the RSA. Huge price. I think, yeah, like you said, he just gets everything done. He's not flashy. I like him a lot.
He's a really solid jumper.
He's a solid jumper.
Yeah.
He's just solid all-round horse, I think. I'm not a massive fan of Bristol Demai. I think he's a bit of when he gets taken on for the lead, doesn't seem that great. Got beaten by Gardner Victor. Got beaten by Armad when Armad went off, and he couldn't reel him back. I think he's better in small fields. He's good on. He's got form on good ground, and he has been unbelievably impressive as well in his wins. But when he's got beaten, he's gone down a little bit too easily for me. And I don't know how good he is. He's got form on, like I said, he's got form on good to soft as well. But I just don't know how good he's going to be in a JLT.
So you think Outlander's more solid?
Yeah, I
more
think Outlander's
reliable?
more solid.
Yeah.
I actually like Gardner Victoire. I don't know where they're going to send him. I don't know if they're going to send him Arc or JLT. I heard that they're going to go JLT from Philip Hobbs. He's pretty likely race this year. He beat Bristol Demai pretty easily, actually, at Uttoxeter. Obviously, that was a kind of early in the season run, so you can't really... Well, you can take something from it, because he beat him by 6 lengths, which is quite good. He beat the big handicap fancy Dr. Harper really easily. I think he's good enough. He's a good price at around, where is he? About 9-1 best price at the moment. So that's nice. I think he'll hit the frame for Hobbs. Yeah.
You could almost double up in that race if you wanted to. If you want to back Gardner Victor each way at 9-1, I think he'll probably drift on the day as well, I would have thought, unless Philip has a really good first couple of days to the festival. Let's talk about the Albert Bartlett. I thought this was the weakest of the novice events, and Bartis Hill, after being all the rage earlier on the season, a lot of question marks around him at the moment for me. I think he's very hits a flat spot through his races. Shantou Village needs good ground. It's essential to him. I think this has the potential, Jake, for throwing up a huge price winner. Don't ask me what it's going to be. Of all the novice events, I think this is the one that is likely to hit a shock absorber rather than the others, absolutely.
And I think I like Bartis Hill a lot. I really, really, really like Bartis Hill, and I like Shantou Village. I think Shantou Village is, like you said, definitely a better horse on good ground. I actually think he would be much closer to Yanworth on good ground if he ran in the Neptune.
Absolutely.
I also think Bartis Hill might be even better in the Neptune, to be honest. His bumper form is unbelievable. It's definitely the best bumper form of last season. A lot of through tipsters are saying that he's too slow and stuff, but I mean, if you've got bumper form like that, he's not going to be that slow. He does hit a flat spot, but he just like I said, he gets the job done. He's relentless galloper, and once he gets in front, it's very, very hard to get past in the finish. Obviously, his last run wasn't that impressive, and that was his only run, stepped up to 3 miles. Yeah. And he had up for review beaten quite easily that day. I think he's a bit underrated for an unbeaten horse going into an Albert Bartlett that isn't very competitive.
No, it's not.
At the moment. I think 11-4 is actually a pretty good price, to be honest. I'll be definitely backing him at 11-4. He's never run at Cheltenham, but as a local trainer, I really like Ben Pauling as well. I think he's a brilliant up-and-coming trainer. I think he's going to do great things. At a bigger price, I quite like Thomas Hobson, which actually seen with trained by Willie Mullins. Rich actually was quite true with him. Bigged him up quite a lot at the preview evening. The Warwick form of his win is stacking up well. Open Eagle and Definite Outcome have gone on and won next time.
And he'll improve for the step up and trip, do you think?
I think he'll improve for the step up and trip as well. He's a bit mental. He's got a bit of a screw loose. He jumps a bit iffy. He hangs right quite a lot. But if he gets it all together, 12-1 might seem big on the day, and he'll probably be shorter as well. To be honest, once it gets there.
It's a race I'm scared of, and I'm not going to have a bet in because I think there could be a boil over here. But obviously Jake is pretty sweet on Barter's Hill, which brings us to an end for our Novice Hurdle and Novice Chase video cast. Go and do and have a look at our Championship video cast, and of course our handicap one as well. And don't forget, of course, the easyodds.com app available to download right now.